Alright, hello everyone. Today we'll be doing another video on Apex once again. Today we're going to be doing a concept. This is the one that I've been wanting to do for a while, because Apex has been adding new perks and adding just a lot of new class perks in general. But how I currently see the perks in the game right now is that the Recon and Controller class are very much falling behind a little bit. They're not really getting as much attention as the other classes, and so I think there needs to be something done to kind of bring them all to the same kind of level. Now, I do think still that the support class after these changes might actually be still pretty powerful, but I think at least it gives some recognition to the other classes a little bit, and can actually forge a little bit more of a discussion within like teams of like, oh, should I have a recon character or should I have a support? Because it just depends on the playstyle you want to go for. So this is going to be a longer video because a lot of this stuff needs to actually be explained and what these things actually mean. But I'm going to go over the first class, which is of course the Assault class. Now, this class actually does already have 3 perks, but they're kind of convoluted, and there's actually ways to summarize them a little bit better in the description. So as you can see, when we look at the perks, you can see there's an access perk, there's a self perk, and there's a team perk. Now, obviously this can be removed in the actual like display of these perks if this were to come to the game, but this is the kind of format that I've went for each single class. So what the access perk is you get access to a certain device. Now, for 4 of the classes, that is already the case in the game, but for the skirmisher for the skirmisher class, there is not really a device that you have access to. You can scan care packages, but it's not really a device that you interact with and it does something that actually gives you something that the class really works with. But I'll get to that in a little bit because that has to do with the skirmisher class, and we're going to be going over the assault class first. But the access thing is, of course, makes sense. You access the assault bins. Now, for the self perk, it is gain extra ammo and ordnance. Now, the other part of this as well, I believe, was that you could also automatically reload stored weapons. Now, I've actually removed that because I think this would be really good to have as just the mags. You know, like we have gold magazines and the gold shotgun bolts in the game, but they're just rendered completely useless the second you have an assault character, because they can just do that by default. I just don't think it's a very good perk to have, to be honest. Just in the game in general, because what's the point of gold mags at that point? And so it kind of nerfs this class a little bit because you only have like one alright kind of perk, you know, extra ammo, extra ordnance. You know, I would say that's pretty good, to be honest. But that extra little bit you don't get. But I have actually buffed the other perk where you were able to shoot weapons faster on shield break. And this goes for the whole squad. Before, what this perk used to be is you would get faster reloads and a faster sprint speed when you break an enemy's shield. But this would only apply to yourself. So you would break an enemy's shield and you'd be able to essentially chase them down and reload your weapons faster when chasing them down as well. So really good if you have like an R9 or something that, you know, could require a little bit faster reload and you know, to chase after the person just to finish them off essentially. But this has been changed now. Instead, you're able to shoot your weapon for a little bit faster for about a second or so after you break the person's shield. But this not just applies to you, this gives everyone on the team that perk. So anyone on the team that breaks any enemy's shield will get that perk. So you're able to essentially make your whole team assault characters in a way. You're able to make it so when they are pushing people, they're able to do that extra little bit of damage, which is exactly what the assault class should be. You know? Now, in my decision of doing this, I really like the reloading thing as the controller perks. So that's why I took a lot of the reloading stuff out, the automatic stored reload, and removing the faster reload and the sprint speed, obviously. All the reloading stuff I've kind of removed because I like that as part of the controller side. Having faster reloads and things I feel like is really good when you're defending somewhere. You want your team to be able to have enough ammo to really defend that location rather than just chase people. It's a little bit, you know, meh. So that was my process, my thought process behind that. So we removed the automatic stored reload perk because, of course, gold mags and things like that, and we have changed the faster reloads and sprint speed to a shooting speed buff for the whole team though this time. And it also allows the assault class to actually have a little bit less selfish perks, because currently all the perks for the assault class are very selfish. There's nothing really for the team. Okay, so this is probably my favourite change, to be honest. Not very many changes for the skirmisher class. It's just essentially one change, really. But you essentially access, so the access perk is you access traversal terminals. Now, obviously, what this means is I have removed the scan care package perk, as I mentioned before, because it doesn't really fit the skirmisher role. The skirmisher role is you get in somewhere, you're able to have movement, you're able to get out of places easy, getting in, moving around, getting out. That's the whole role, really. That's the whole skirmisher role in a nutshell. Whereas scanning a care pack and seeing what the contents are, is it really a skirmisher perk? Not really. That's why I like how the other perks very much build on the kind of mobility that we have. Yes, I think the other perk, gain health and shield when you knock someone, I think that is actually pretty interesting. It's not exactly a skirmisher perk, but it's something where you're able to heal your health so you're constantly on the go. So it can be used as a skirmisher perk, if you know what I mean. When you kill someone, you're able to not really just sit and heal somewhere. It heals by yourself. So I like that. I kept that for that reason. And obviously, I've now moved the sprint speed, so sprint faster when regrouping with teammates. That is now a team perk. So now as well, rather than just being your allies moving towards you getting a speed boost, and now it's also yourself moving towards your allies as well. So as the skirmisher, you can also do that to moving towards other teammates. So now it just applies to everyone. Any teammate moving to another teammate will get a speed boost, as long as you have a skirmisher on the team. And you can see how this can be very, very useful having like different characters in the same squad. You know, having a soul character for that additional kind of shield breaking, so you have faster, you know, you can kill people faster and stuff like that, and then also be able to sprint faster when going towards teammates. You know, you're able to get in and out and do more damage if you have multiple different types of characters in the same squad. So you can really think about the compositions here. But let's go back to that the traversal terminals thing, because that is the new thing. We removed the scan care package thing. That's no longer a thing anymore. Instead, we have these little devices. Now, kind of imagine the little jump pad things on E-District. Kind of imagine them, but you interact with them. Very quick interaction, by the way. It would have to be like just like a little click the X button type of thing. But you interact with these little pads on the ground and you activate them, and you are essentially able to jump on them and then fly for a little bit. Just like the things on E-District, that's what they would be. But there would also be little rotation options as well. Now this one, I don't see as much coming to the game if this were to come to the game, because it would require a lot of effort and a lot of, I would say, map thinking for like the developers on how to update the map. But there would be quite a lot of avenues on the map that would essentially open up if you have a skirmish on your team. So there would be like little terminals that you would interact with, and it would open a door that would be open for like 5-10 seconds, and then it would shut. And what these basically would be little shortcuts around the map. And I think that'd be so cool, because I play like, you know, Mario Kart and stuff like that, and doing a shortcut is so fucking fun. It's so great, you know. And having that in Apex is a little like, you guys know the little like cut inside of the Olympus, the main area in Olympus, like in the mountains, essentially, when you're in that little location. There's a little cut that you can go through, and you feel like you're doing a little shortcut, you know? But obviously more of them kind of things would open, but only accessible if you have a skirmish on the team. And it would allow you to really rotate through different areas a little bit safer, but also faster as well. But you guys can probably tell how I think this might not come at the game, because of course it would absolutely require like completely changing the way that maps are completely thought out. So that's why I do not think this might come to the game. If it did come to the game, it will probably be them little things I said initially, where you interact with a little jump pad thing on the ground, and it'll be a little terminal on the ground, and it'll be like, yep, you interact with it, and it would activate the little jump pad thing, so your team will be able to use that and reposition yourself as a squad. But the other thing does sound cool though. Having little shortcuts around the map as like little secret little tunnels is really cool, and I would love to see that, but it would require a lot of work from the developers. Okay, so now we'll go on to the Recon class, and honestly, not very many changes for this class either, but the Recon class is a bit of a weird one. It's always been the case with this class that they've either been too good or too bad. A lot of the characters in this class have also been the same, hence 𝗙cie, with obviously his pick rate being very fluctuating from like 20% when he was busted, and then obviously down to the least picked legend when he was not very good, as right now. But obviously the same goes for the class as well. So I'm trying to kind of find a little bit of a balance right now. So I don't know whether you guys can remember, but we used to have an old survey beacon. So before, after the whole class rework, where each class got their own perks, basically the survey beacon would be like a full map scan, and it would just scan the whole map, and you would be able to see all the locations of all the enemies, and that'll be it. It would last for 30 seconds, it will show the locations, and that'll be it. Now it's a little bit different, where when you scan a survey beacon, it would show all the locations of enemies within a certain radius, but it would actually scan multiple times, kind of like a UAV. It would like pulse, and it would actually update the positions of enemies, so you can actually see whereabouts they are actually heading, the direction that they're going, potentially their rotation options, things like that. So it kind of changed the way that the survey beacon was used. It reworked it, essentially. However, with this, though, I mean, the reason why it was reworked is because, obviously, the survey beacon before, it was a full map scan. For ALGS and high competitive, like, kind of, areas of the game, you could really tell where people were going. It could be used for third partying, really, a lot of the time. Whereas now, it's very much like a tool to still third party, but not to the extent that I was before. You can basically like think out your game a little bit better on who you want to fight. But now, what I think should be done, is revert to how it was before, where it did do a full map scan, but instead of it being around for 30 seconds, maybe it's only around for 10 seconds, You're not able to kind of have them full 30 seconds to really think about where people are going and how they're going to get there. You get 10 seconds of just, here's everyone on the map, try to figure out where they're going in them 10 seconds, and allows for a lot less planning and thoughtful discussion around what's actually happening in the game, which means that it's not going to be as powerful as it was before. But having a full map scan allows you to still predict things, which is what it was so useful for before. Now, it's just used as like a pushing tool, really, which I don't really think is what it's supposed to be for, really. A survey beacon is to give you insight, not to push people, So that would be the first thing, is I would actually revert the survey beacon back, but obviously just not as powerful as it was before. And the other thing is, obviously we have the self perk, which is just the same as it was before. You get threat vision when aiming, so a very good perk. But then we also have a new perk as well. So this one is very much based off the leaked compass perk that we are going to be getting very, very shortly in Apex, potentially. It is leaked, so it might not actually come to the game, but it's basically going to be this little thing where, as I've said here, track active enemies on compass. Now, if you guys don't know, we actually have a compass in the game already. It's at the top of your screen. Where it says like north, east, south, and west. So I believe that's what the compass is actually referring to. So basically, you'll be able to see, enemies that are fighting, or maybe potentially death boxes of enemies. Kind of like similar to 𝗏𝗏's passive in a way. Which could kind of mean that 𝗏𝗏 could be getting that passive removed and being integrated into the recon class potentially, which makes sense because 𝗏𝗏 isn't a recon character, so that could be a nice little train of thought right there. because Ash is very powerful and she has a recon passive perk that she doesn't really need since she has the dash perk now. So that could get removed and then implemented in the recon class just in a different way. Instead of it being on the map, it could be on the compass instead. So very much like the 𝗏𝘂𝗯𝗏 bar from Minecraft, if you guys don't know what the hell that is. It's kind of like a little bar on the bottom of your screen. It shows all the other players in your game at that time, but only shows them if you get closer and closer, so the icon actually gets bigger and bigger the closer you get to that person. So we could say a similar kind of thing where it has icons, and the smaller they are, the enemies are quite far away, but then as you get closer and closer, the icons get bigger and bigger, so you're able to kind of predict how close they are to your team. So you're able to calm to your teammates, oh yeah, by the way, they're getting quite close now, but bear in mind this is actually a team perk, so everyone on the team would actually be able to see these icons. So that's another reason why you might actually want to pick a recon as part of your team composition, because you're able to get that insight. You're able to see, okay, there's actually two teams popping up on my compass right now. One of them is very far away, but one's actually pretty close. We should really focus this team right now. And so yeah, it allows for a lot more options in that way. And it allows for, I would say, one of the most useful things is in fight, of course, you have the threat vision. Out of the fight, predicting for a fight, you have the survey beacons to get the whole map scan, so you get a very large area to see everyone, and then when you're kind of moving around trying to fight someone, then you are getting the compass updating actively on when enemies are fighting. But now we have, I would say, probably the biggest changes right now, and that's the support class. So first of all, we have, of course, the same kind of thing. We access the support bins in the support class. So that's staying the same. The self perk, though, gain faster healing and reviving. So a little bit different. The perk before was really, really long. It actually used to have a lot of mobile respawn perks, this class. I removed all of them, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But we've added the faster healing back. This used to be in the game before, so you used to be able to heal faster as a support character and revive faster. Now it's just the revive. So they very much kind of stick to the reviving and respawning. But the issue with that is a similar kind of issue with the assault class, is the assault class didn't have many team perks. The support class doesn't really have many selfish perks. So there was really nothing that really helped yourself. You would revive people and they would get extra health. You would respawn people and you would get mobile respawn beacons in the crafter. But nothing really ever helped yourself. That's why people play characters like 𝗏𝘂𝗏𝗏, because you're able to get them selfish perks as a skirmisher character, and you feel like you're actually getting something for playing that character, and then you get the support perks by getting the level 2 perk for playing a support. So I do think we need to have something that is selfish, like how we have before with faster healing, as a support perk. So of course, for the self perk, you gain faster healing. It will probably be 20% like it was before. So instead of a battery taking 5 seconds, it will take 4 seconds, which really is not that much, especially when you consider that Lifeline has her ultimate that literally makes it so it's twice as fast to heal, which is insane. So you're just able to do that 20% fast. It's not much of an ask, it's not really much. So 20% faster healing for the entire game. Not really much. So yeah, I do like that a lot, and I don't think that the support class was that insane really before. And if it does end up being a bit too powerful, I do think drawing it back and having potentially a Mirage thing where after 5 seconds then you can use the faster healing again. Obviously Mirage's case it's invisibility, but it will be a support wide kind of thing. So after 5 seconds you can heal and it'll be 20% faster. Then it'll go on a little bit of a cooldown again. So there could be ways to balance it, but I think we absolutely need that in the game. It allows support characters to actually feel a little bit like I've actually got something that helps me, not just me teammates all the time. And then we also have the team perk. Now this is a little bit different, we've added something here. And that is what the whole mobile respawn thing, you know, when you grab someone's banner and in the death box they will have a mobile respawn beacon. When you craft, it'll also give you a mobile respawn beacon. Them stuff have been removed, and the reason why is because we have added an auto banner collection. So as soon as someone dies in your squad fully, you don't have to get the banner card. You automatically get it. You don't have to go over to the box. You don't have to go to the crafter and craft the banners. You get the banners immediately. Now, of course, the other part of the team perk is that revives heal. So if you revive someone as a support character, you will heal them when they are revived. And the same thing vice versa. So if someone revives you and you're a support character, you will heal yourself back up to full. Now this does not work, just to balance it, to make sure it's not too OP. This does not work between non-support characters, even though it is a team perk, and it doesn't apply between non-support characters. So you have one of them two people get either reviving or revived. Has to be a support character for the healing to happen, which is what it's like currently. So it's just the exact same, but we do have the auto banners additional perk part of that as well. And I think that honestly makes the game a lot easier to predict. Alongside this as well, just to make sure that we aren't overpopulating current respawn beacons, because essentially everyone who was a support character will be using respawn beacons a lot more now, since mobile respawn beacons won't be as popular because you won't be getting them out of crafters and things like that. We are now gonna, I think it's also wise that we also make it so respawn beacons no longer disable after one use. That's how it is currently. If you use a respawn beacon, they go off the map. You cannot use them anymore. So instead, you can use them multiple times. And so basically an enemy squad can also use them as well. The amount of times that you've been running towards a respawn beacon from however far across the map, and it's like someone just gets there before you and responds to teammate, you're like, well, time to run another 2 minutes in this game to somewhere else. It's a little bit annoying, but of course, we can fix that. We can make it so it no longer gets disabled. So yeah, honestly, I think these changes will make it so that the support class is a little bit faster in doing their job. You don't have to go to the replicator store and craft them banners to then get a mobile respawn beacon. Things like that, you don't have to do that because you just get the banner straight away. You're faster in doing your job, and you also have a selfish perk as well. You get the faster healing. Of course, that can be balanced, as I mentioned before, if it is too OP, because we did have a very big support meta before when the support changes happened with the whole class. So if it does get too OP, then there can be methods to nerf it, but I do absolutely believe the support class should have selfish perks still. Even though they're a support class, they should have something for themselves. Alright, so the last one is the controller perks. Now, this one is probably my favourite out of all of them, because I do believe the controller characters need the most work. The recon characters, the perks for them have been buffed insane before. You know, they had to be nerfed before with the survey beacon. So we have previously had a meta with them characters having very good perks. We've always had really good perks for all the other classes, you know? Whereas the controller class, can anyone really say that the perks are very good? Maybe in ALGS, I mean, I know the ring consoles are very good in ALGS, but in a casual game, is it really that interesting to play a controller character, really? And I'm talking from like the average kind of person point of view. I play Rampart. I'm a main on Rampart. Maybe not now because I play older, but you know, I used to be a main for Rampart. And for an average person, they don't really see the interest in these characters because they don't really have much. And the issue really comes back to the way these characters are designed. They're designed in a very much movement-based game to bunker down. And it's obviously like, that's the big issue. You know, you can't really bunker down when people are warping through roofs and, you know, dashing everywhere and, you know, all that type of stuff. And we've seen recently a massive rework to Watson to kind of counteract that. And I think it's worked quite well. A lot more people are playing Watson. I think people are enjoying Watson. I think people realise how powerful she can potentially be at controlling places. And so we need more of that. More reworks to the actual characters, not just the perks that they have as part of the class, but also the characters themselves. And I hear that we are going to be getting a 𝗏𝗁𝗁𝗃 buff, where his traps last for longer, making him able to control spaces for longer. The traps have more health as well. And I also hear that Rampart's going to be getting a buff, where she's able to repair her walls, which makes a lot of sense because she is literally a modder. She is able to mod weapons and stuff like that. So it makes sense that she's able to repair her walls herself. I mean, she literally has a wrench as an heirloom, so, like, come on. So I'm actually very glad that things like that actually come into the game that not only make sense for the buffs, but also make sense to the lore as well. So let's get the actual perks. So the access one, as we all know, is the access ring consoles. Now for the selfish perk, or like the kind of one that only applies to yourself, and that is that you gain overshield and trap health when you're in zone. So currently, you just get the overshield when you're inside a zone. You get the 25 extra HP. But now you get additional health of your traps as well. So I would say probably double the health of traps. So when you're inside a zone, your traps also get buffed as well. Which I think it makes a lot of sense because it is very easy to destroy the traps. And for characters that are meant to control spaces, for someone to just find a little opening in a window to like lower bracelet through, or ash portal through a window, or something like that, just to kind of breach through, alter tactical through. There's ways to breach through buildings. Just little things like that can just like make you kind of defending a little bit more difficult. And then obviously just like half an R99 clip into a catalyst tactical or caustic barrel. And then the whole defense system kind of crumbles. So to have that double HP on like traps and stuff like that, it allows you to survive just a little bit longer, and you're able to hear where you're getting breached in from, so you can be able to track them people down and kill them, and hopefully a little bit easier. But of course, the overshield as well is a big problem because now we no longer have red shield in the game, and so when you get to purple, you don't have that extra 25 HP anymore, which I think is a massive oversight, in that you should still get that 25 HP. You should have essentially a red shield as a controller character. If you're inside zone, you don't get the benefit anymore, really. It's only like the first half, maybe even the first 25% of a game, but you actually get that buff and it means something. Until people start getting a blue shield and then purple shield, it doesn't really mean much, really, to have that extra little 25 HP. And so that's why I think when you get a purple shield, you should still get that 25 HP. You should be on red shield. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially how you are playing characters that are not really meta. They are not very good at moving around and healing in very tight spaces. They are meant to be characters that lock down places, so you need that extra health sometimes. Now, the very last perk, and this is probably my most favourite because this is the new perk. You know, all the rest of the stuff is like, you know, for this class is the old stuff, really. Obviously, we have the trio, the traps, getting extra health in the zone as well. Obviously, that's new, but this is the new perk for this class, and that is the team one. So this goes to everyone on the team. Everyone gets this, and I think this is pretty overpowered. But it needs to be. This class is not very overpowered as it is currently, so let's give them the spotlight right now, like how I've previously gave the other classes the spotlight. And that is that everyone on the team, at all points in the game, when you are grouped together, so within, I would say, about 20-30 meter radius, if you have a teammate next to you, you get a faster reload, and it is incremental. So if you have just one teammate next to you get a faster reload. If you have two teammates next to you get an even faster reload. So it really promotes sticking together, and that's what I think the controller class does really well. You kind of have a support character that can help your team survive and stick together and stuff like that, but it's more about the survival. The controller character very much is like, we need to stick here. We are controlling this area, this patrol. That's the whole idea, really. And so that's what the controller class is meant to be, you know? And so we have that where when you are in a group together, when you're grouped up, you're defending, you get faster reloads, and also ability recharge as well, so faster abilities. So that goes both for your tactical and the ultimate. Now, of course, if this is too OP and it needs to be nerfed, it could just be the tactical. It could just be the ultimate. One of the two. Probably just the tactical, because I think the tactical is more, like, you're going to have a tactical most of the time in the game, I would say. Especially when you are defending, you're not always having to use a tactical. But when you're in a fight and people are trying to breach you, having an additional tactical faster is very useful. So let's say, hypothetically, it's 20% when you have one teammate nearby, it's 40% when you have two teammates nearby. So that makes, let's say, a horizon lift, which I believe is 20 seconds. That'll cut that down to 16 seconds when you have one teammate nearby, and then down to 12 seconds when you have two teammates nearby. You can see how useful that can be. Just to kind of like make sure you are constantly ready to escape the area, or if you're playing a fuse in your squad as well, you're having more them tacticals to throw at people. And so you can really see how it buffs your entire squad, especially when you are together. So this is not just in a building though. That's the thing. It can be out in the open too. So you can see how it's very, very kind of applicable to a lot of different situations. So yeah, it just buffs your entire class, makes you have faster reloads, and also all your abilities get back faster as well. But of course, if it's too OP, it can easily be nerfed. You can easily just take the ultimate one out of the picture, and now it's just the tactical. And it's just the tactical getting back faster for everyone, and the reload faster for everyone as well. And we can also make it so it's just a flat rate as well. It's not incremental anymore. So it's not like 20% and 40%, it's just 20%. No matter how many people are nearby. So you see how it can be changed and reworked, but I do think these changes are necessary because we really could do with a controller meta. It would be interesting to see how that would work. It might be a bit annoying because these characters definitely are difficult to breach sometimes and can very much mean that you die in ways that aren't very fun. But they've never been meta before, and I think having something like a new perk or something that could just gives them more utility would be great. So we'll see how this kind of happens if any of these things do come to the game. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed making this video with you guys because I've really wanted to see how this game kind of like progresses in the future. Because of course we've had a lot of changes to these classes, and it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting too many more changes in the future. But then again, this whole compass perk thing is being rumoured to come, so maybe we are, I don't know. But this is how I would rework the classes if I was in charge. I have thought about this for a while, and I do think it gives every single class a fair shot at being very useful, not just for yourself, but also for the team, and also for preparing as well. And I think the access to different devices around the map is very cool. I love that, and I wish they'd never get rid of that, because I think for every class, having them interactables is so cool. So yeah, hopefully they keep all that. But yeah, it's been a long video today, guys, but I think it's been very necessary because this is probably one of my biggest concepts that I've had. And there's always that kind of like concept that I'll look back to and I'm like, I wonder how many of these things actually come to the game. So this is definitely one of them. Just like how I've previously had like legend concepts and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I wonder if this would come to the game. And I've had like previous support characters, and then it's Conduit's come to the game, and it's very similar to how I've predicted. But I really want to see in like a year or two from now what this concept, like how many things have been integrated. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have found this interesting. And if there's any changes that you would make as well to how the game currently is, or from my concept that I've got to make it a little bit more fairer potentially, or whatever, please do let me know, and I'll get back to you guys and I'll reply. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.